YouTube, what's up? This is Marcus, man. I hope you guys are blessed, having a good one. Marcus from Black Married Debt Free. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dupe. Oh, okay, that was just dumb. Anyway, what's going on, y'all? I'm going live on Instagram. We're gonna be talking. We're gonna be having a dope conversation. Let me invite Instagram into the room. Invite Instagram into the room. Y'all share this, man. Share this. Instagram, I would like to introduce you to YouTube. YouTube, I would like to introduce you to Instagram. We're live on both platforms. This is Marcus from Black Married Debt Free. I just wanted to talk to you guys, man. We don't talk anymore. But we're going to be talking about the importance of home ownership and equity, man. I don't know if you guys saw my last post on Instagram, but it started some great conversation. And it's something that I've been super passionate about. I've been super passionate about this narrative because I don't think it's addressed enough. So we're going to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about a couple statistics that I think are pretty crazy and pretty staggering in regards to home ownership and the wealth gap between Blacks and our counterparts, right? So the first thing that I want to share with you guys is that we know historically, I mean, like this stuff doesn't even need to be said, but we know historically African Americans have been discriminated against in many ways, right? Oh, how we can count the ways. One, I think that is the most important and one that I don't think we talk about enough is in regards to home ownership. You know, we could talk about the propaganda that, renting is better than owning. And, we could talk about how ownership and home ownership isn't preached enough, right? But historically, Blacks were denied, African Americans were denied access to housing, wealth. And because of that, we face disparity because of it, even today. So we're seeing the effects of it, right? So redlining, we've all heard about redlining. Redlining was something that was put in place to kind of, put Blacks or African Americans in a certain area, a certain demographic. And, there were other discriminatory practices that were put in place in regards to real estate. And that went down during Jim Crow. And, we still see the effects today because the wealth gap between African Americans and our counterparts is essentially, this is the part I want you to hear, essentially home equity. Marcus, what are you talking about? I'm going to tell you. So the white median wealth or net worth, right, of a household is 144,000. Now, this is according to a study done by Duke University, and this article was in a Washington Post article. So this is as of like 2016. White median wealth was 144,000. That was the net worth. That was when you total up the assets of a household, right? A white median household had a net worth of 144,000, where a Black median household had a net worth of 11,000, according to this article by Duke University. So you say, we know that there's many reasons why, right? We started we started from the bottom, right? We had to make up a lot of ground, a lot of discriminatory practices put in place that we had to overcome. Slavery, Jim Crow, slavery reconstruction, Jim Crow, all those different things. So we know that we were already behind the eight ball. But I think one of the biggest things that we don't talk about is that gap, that $144,000 net worth for a white family and the $11,000 net worth for a Black family is essentially the average American home equity. So the average American home has an equity of 100, roughly, according to this article in 2016, $100,000, which essentially puts us in the same net worth category as our white counterparts. So what does that say? That says that this was all a setup. This was all a setup. They knew then that if we discourage home ownership, if we redline, if we put in these practices that will keep African Americans from owning a property, just a single. Well, I'm not talking about investing. I'm not talking about none of the dope stuff you hear people doing online. We're not talking about owning multiple doors and all that sexy real estate stuff you hear on Instagram. I'm talking about a single family home that you live in, right? Just that. So they knew then that if we can keep a Black family from just obtaining that and owning a home that they live in, years down the line, we'll begin to see the divide in the net worth because of it. It was all a setup. So what could we do about it? Do we just wallow in that? Do we just come on Instagram and talk about how we didn't get our fair shake? That's not what I'm saying. We do want to acknowledge it because it's reality, but we want to start to change the narrative and we want to shine light on the narrative. And that's what I wanted to do with this live, is to shine light on it. So we know, because a lot of times what you don't know can hurt you, right? So now that we know this, we know that, man, you know what? Ownership is important. Home ownership is important. And once again, I'm not talking about becoming a real estate investor or doing anything crazy. I'm talking about owning a single family home for your family, right? Just that alone will, and the equity that you gain from that. We have with ownership, there comes many different things. You get tax breaks, right? Because there are breaks put in place for individuals that own real estate. You get the equity in your home begins to grow as the market grows, as the housing market grows. That you'll see the equity in your home begin to balloon, and as you pay the mortgage, you're paying the equity down. So you're starting to see all this space here. That's equity, and that equity is essentially the difference between the average white median net worth and the average Black household median net worth. It's the equity of an average single family home. So I think that, that needs to be shared more. That needs to be talked about more. Now I'm going to make it personal, right? I gave you statistics. Let me give you one other statistic before I go there. So that's one thing. And then Shire and I posted something today on our Instagram. So I gave you the statistics there. Some other statistics I want to highlight is, let me pull this up real quick. Appreciate y'all being on, man. Y'all share this with someone if you think it's going to help them, man. We need to have this conversation. We definitely need to have this conversation. So let me pull up this here. Sorry, y'all. Is anybody else's internet been just bugged out? Is this a nationwide thing? Okay, so this statistic shows this. The average renter net worth. This is based on a U.S. Census Bureau study in 2014. So it may have changed somewhat, but just to give you a snapshot. The average renter net worth is $2,381. Okay. The average homeowner net worth, and I appreciate y'all comments. I'm just kind of zoning out, but appreciate y'all comments. I'm gonna get to those. The average homeowner's net worth is $205,000. $205,000. No, that's not right. $205,300. Okay, so 205K net worth for a homeowner as opposed to $2,000 for a renter. So I've heard narratives and discussions over, is it better to rent or better to own? If I rent, I have more money to invest and da 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 da. But what you see here is the mindset. Sometimes now there are outliers. This is not a one size fits all. There are people who rent and who don't own that have huge net worths. Okay, so I want to make sure I say that. But the average person with a that owns their home or as opposed to someone renting their home, the statistics show that the owner's net worth is larger. A lot of that has to do with the equity that a home builds over time. If you continue to pay your mortgage down, if you rent for 10 years or you pay a mortgage for 10 years, when you're paying rent, you're paying someone else's mortgage. When you're paying for your mortgage, you are essentially paying yourself in equity because you're paying down the mortgage. The home housing market is increasing. So you're creating an equity gap there that is beneficial for you. Now I'm going to make it personal. You got some of you who follow me and Shire, you know our story. We were in debt over $100,000 in student loans, home mortgage, rent, cars, credit cards, all that stuff. Well, now our net worth is creeping, is in the six-figure range, over a quarter million range, creeping into half a million range. And the catalyst to that was that we bought a home in 2009. If we didn't purchase that home and if we continued to rent, we would not be where we are today. Not only was that the catalyst and spawned other things, but the equity, what if we have been able to do with the equity that we produced by buying that home, by paying that home off, single-handedly has put us in the position where we are today. We bought a house in 2009, for those of you who don't know the story, for $89,000. This is when the market had bellied up. The housing market was really, really bad at this time. So we bought a home in 2009 for $86,000. 86, I always forget the number. Crazy, right? Like, oh, dude, that's good. Like $500-$600 a month. We could have just paid that for 30 years easily, but we decided, you know what? We're in a blessed position. Let's crush this. So we paid that off. Simultaneously, with the market being at its worst, it only could have one place to go, and that was up. So the market went up to where that house went at its highest was worth $250,000. So we decided to sell that. Before we sold that home, we decided to get a home equity line of credit, which is something that allows you to tap into the equity in your home. So like we didn't have to sell the home and get money to see the benefits of the equity. There is something in place called a HELOC, home equity line of credit, where we were able to go and still keep the primary residence, still live there, but go in and take advantage of that equity and use that money for something. Now, did we use it to ball out? Did we use it to make an addition to the home? Did we use it to buy a new car? Did we use it to fix the kitchen? Did we use it to get a new bathroom? No. We took that equity and we bought an income producing asset. We bought two income producing assets, which were two more homes. Two more homes that earn us money. So we took the one single family investment that I've been really trying to scream on this live, right? We need to do that as African Americans. We need to really get serious about home ownership. We took that one investment that at the time, you know, because I'll hear people say, well, it's a seller's market, you know, houses are high. Yeah, true. But sometimes you got to figure out a way to position yourself to do what you need to do, right? We love talking about why we can't as opposed to why we can, right? So when we bought our house, we weren't 100% sure we could do it, but we knew like this is an important step in the process for us. So from the equity that we gained from that home, we were able to tap into that and buy two more homes that were cash flowing, income producing assets. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the, you know what I'm saying, assets over income, right? But that's a whole nother topic. We ain't going there. But anyway, so that first home purchase was a catalyst into essentially a real estate empire that we're going to build. So we have a plan that our real estate portfolio will now be a self-sustaining business for years to come, simply because we took the first step and we bought a home. Now we could have just been renting and renting and renting, but we said, you know what? I don't know. I don't have the entire story yet, but I know that I need to write this chapter. Right? I think a lot of times we won't even start writing our book until we know the end. But sometimes you need to write that first chapter first. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's very important. The statistics show how important it is. So, I just want to reiterate that for those of us who are just joining, the wealth gap between African Americans and our Caucasian counterparts, according to a study by Duke University in 2014, the white median income was $144,000. The white average median net worth, excuse me. The average black median net worth was 11,000, while the average American home's equity was 100,000. So essentially, what that statistic tells us is that your primary residence, a primary residence in your family, the equity in that home is essentially the wealth gap between blacks and whites. So what else does that tell you? It's important to get and own your home, right? You might not be able to do that today, but you need to be positioning yourself. You need to exactly, bottom line, have goals and make a plan. Thank you, Nick. You need to be positioning yourself. You need to be having those conversations. Yes. And I know everything is not good right now. We're in a pandemic. People are losing their jobs. People are getting sick. But you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to find your footing in chaos. Because if you don't, it's literally like Darwinism. Either you're going to figure it out, you're either going to figure out how to survive, or you're not going to survive. Fight or flight, right? So I just wanted to hop on this live. Man, I appreciate everybody being on. Let me go through some of these comments. I wanted to hop on and just shout that because I feel like it's not talked about enough. We could do the sexy stuff. We could do the stock market and the rental properties, and we could talk all that sexy stuff. But it's really as simple as just owning your primary residence. Just keep it simple. Try that first, and then transition into other things. I think sometimes we hear the great things, so much that we think if I'm not doing that, then I'm just not going to do nothing. If I can't be like so-and-so who's doing X, Y, and Z, then I'm just not going to do nothing. But there is something that we can do. And it really doesn't take all of that. But we could position ourselves and our families, a lot better if we would just do the simplest thing is owning your, where you stay. So, man, this is more so just encouragement to my people. Is not nothing to condemn where you're at right now. So hopefully you guys receive the heart in which I'm spitting this. So I'm gonna go through some of these comments, y'all. I appreciate y'all being on. Let's see what some of these comments were. Appreciate everybody being on. We didn't have well-paying jobs and weren't able to get home loans. Absolutely. Like I said in the front end, it was all a setup. I mean, it was all done purposefully. Redlining, discriminatory practices, loan, discrimination, bad paying jobs. Like all of that was a cocktail created to make these statistics that we see now become a reality. So yeah, it was all done purposefully. But now that we know that, what are we going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to preach. Best calculation, one to have huge focus is net worth. Yeah. And understand what net worth is, everybody. For those of you who don't know, net worth is simply your assets, the things you own minus the things you owe, right? So net worth isn't like how much you got in the bank. I think that needs to be said too. We love liquidity. We love what we can see. We love the phone, the money phone. You know what I'm saying? We love those memes, don't we? With the wad of money on the, you know what I'm saying? We love liquidity, but that don't mean nothing. That doesn't mean anything. Assets over income. I know plenty of people that make six figures, big money, and don't keep it. It's like you have to transition that income currency into something that you can pass on. When I die, whatever I'm making at my place of where I work, where I punch a clock, my kids don't get none of that. I can't hand my son my hourly wage. I can't hand my son my six-figure income. It don't work like that. I have to transition that income into an asset, because asset is something that you can transfer, right? So I think the net worth represents that asset amount. You know what I'm saying? I could transfer the equity in my home to my children. I can transfer a property to my children. I could transfer my stock portfolio. You know what I'm saying? But I can't transfer what I make when I punch a clock, because once I'm done punching that clock, it's a wrap for me. So I think that's important. Uh, Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Renting has its place, agreed, but should not be a long-term situation. Pretty much what I'm saying in a nutshell is just this. I rented. There was a moment in time where I thought I would just be a renter. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with it. But I began to see the importance of home ownership. You know what I mean? So yeah, good stuff. I appreciate everybody being on. Yes, we did the same. That's what's up. That's beautiful to see. T, what's up, man? Hardest part is getting started. Agreed. The hardest part is getting started, and that's why, like, I want to normalize conversations like this. You know what I'm saying? This needs to be what we talk about. Oftentimes, I talk about, like, with my children. You know, while they're young, I haven't sat them down and given them any formal education, you know, on financial literacy, but we talk about it all the time. It's what we talk about at the dinner table. It's not me and Shira. We don't go behind closed doors and close the doors and talk about money. No, we're gonna talk about it openly with the children, because they need to. This needs to become normal. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Good mindset and plan. Real estate builds wealth. Absolutely, man. Don't let nobody. And here's the thing: when it comes to the propaganda of it all, man, I don't want to go here, but I gotta go here. Here's the propaganda of it all. They want to let you think that it's not important while they're investing in it. Oh no, you should do this. You should go this way. Nah, you don't want to do that. That real estate is a old way to build wealth. It's slow money. It's slow money. Now, there's a big real estate platform that recently said building real estate will not build wealth, and had an entire article. A real estate platform had an article on why real estate is no longer a viable option for wealth building, while they're steady investing in it on the low. So don't let that fool you. Don't let all the conversations of, you know what I'm saying? I encourage y'all, okay? We family. Listen to individuals that have your best interests at heart. Listen to individuals that can relate to your struggle. Listen to individuals that are cut from the same cloth as you. You know what I'm saying? Don't listen to what people outside of your community tell you, and put more weight in that than you do someone that comes from where you come from. You know what I'm saying? So some of these publications will tell you real estate is dead. You got to do this, you got to do that, while they're investing in real estate. So got to think about that, y'all. You got to think about that. Appreciate that, y'all. Appreciate let's say, stay away from personal debt. It will steal your dreams. I agree that debt freedom has been a huge part of me and Shire's journey. I just don't like. I feel like we're in a transition period where, like, we want to start talking about wealth too, right? So the debt freedom thing is huge. But if that's all you really talking about, you miss the mark a little bit. So you want to take the debt freedom and compile it with building wealth to help you get to where you want to be. So, but that's a great thing though. Jan, what's up, bro? Appreciate it, man. Uh, do I think there'll be another bubble? I think there's always uh, ebbs and flows in every market, the housing market. I don't see like a huge bubble situation. I feel like in 2009 it was definitely a bubble with all the prime mortgages and stuff like that. Like I don't see nothing like that happening, but there's definitely could be something that shakes up the market. And I think we're gonna see some shakeups with the government holding off the evictions and stuff like that. I think we're gonna see definitely some craziness happen once all that subsides. Um, that can't be good. You know what I mean? To just to just focus on the evictions and the renters, but not focus on the owners of those properties, I think is gonna be some kickback to that. How do you surround yourself around people, like-minded people outside social media? Great question. That's hard to do because when you start talking like this and you start thinking like this, you'll see like there's not a lot of people in your circle that's on that, right? So for me and Shire, social media was a good place to connect with people like this, right? So we started to curate our Instagram feed. I talk about this a lot. Curate your Instagram feed to where it feeds you the content you want, right? If you looking at garbage and you looking at pop culture stuff, that's all your feed's going to be. Instagram's going to say she loves this type of content. We're going to just give her all of that. So start following people that are feeding you the content that you want and curate your social media around that. And then you'll start to make friends, genuine friends on social media that are like-minded. That has definitely been our story. Let's see. My friends are afraid to talk about money. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially us. We don't like talking about money. It's uncomfortable. It's like talking about that uncle. Y'all know what I'm talking about. No, nobody want to talk about him. No, nobody want to talk about what had happened. Money is the same way, especially with Black folks. We don't want to talk about it, but we have to erase that narrative. Let's see. Surround yourself with good-minded people. Yep. Often the ones afraid to talk about the money need to talk about it the most. That's true too. Like the truth hurts, right? So like when I wasn't doing great with my finances, I used to hate listening to like podcasts about money. Or I used to hate when Shire would say, we need to talk about money. Like that's the last thing I want to talk about because you know you're not in a great position. But I think once you realize that you're not in the best position, that's when change can happen. That's when change can happen. But a lot of times you're in that denial stage first. So you be like, man, I ain't trying to hear that. He going live talking about money and houses and stuff. Oh man, I ain't listening to that. So yeah, that's for sure. 2021 high potential for a bit of pullback. Yeah, 2021 is going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So you think creating wealth, passive income should come before killing debt? So here's my thing, and my man Alex of the Money Monopolizer said it best on one of his podcasts. Y'all follow them. Uh, you don't, when it comes to debt, you don't want to be the last person in line on that debt trail, right? So, well, first, let me speak on consumer debt. I feel like you should definitely attack consumer debt if at all possible, because that would enable you to have more capital to do the things you want to do, to build wealth, right? So, credit cards, cars, home eventually, I think you should pay those things off. Now, when we start talking about building wealth, debt used correctly can become a a a tool that you use to build wealth, right? What you want to make sure is that you're not at the end of that debt totem pole, right? You don't want to be the last person on that, because usually the last person is the one who's not benefiting from the debt, right? America is thriving off debt. America just try not to be the last person on the end of that, right? So what do I mean by that? If you have a home that you owe a mortgage on, but you're renting it out, that person is the person on the last end of that. They're making that payment, right? You're getting the cash flow after taking their payment and applying it to the mortgage. So to me, that's not a bad debt, right? If you own your primary residence and you're using it to build equity, or you own your primary residence and you rent out a room to somebody, you're house hacking, but you're paying a mortgage. That is a different type of debt, right? So yeah, so that for me is, I hope I explained that. True about content creation and how your feed's set up. Absolutely. Zay, what's up, bro? Marcellus, what's up, bro? Appreciate y'all, man. Jay, what's up, man? In every situation. Yep. What's good, man? Marie Conesa, what's up? What's up, y'all? Man, long time no see, man. Good to see y'all here. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. That's a great principle to live by. That's a great principle to live by. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Yeah, Miss Nicole, how you doing? Happy birthday, by the way. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all being on, man. So I just wanted to hop on once again to let you guys know, man. I'm gonna put a bow on it with this. The statistics show that the wealth gap between a white median household and a black median household is simply and essentially the equity of a primary residence. And going back decades, they set it up to where it was harder for us to get that primary residence. So 50 years later, Marcus could be sitting in front of you and reading you statistics that show the gap. So what does that tell us? A primary residence, the equity in a primary residence is the missing piece between black median wealth and white median wealth. It's that simple. Are there other facets? Yes. Investing in stocks and other things like that, does that play a part? Retirement accounts and different things. Yeah, there are other ways to close that gap. Absolutely. But the simplest way is just owning the place where you lay your head. Just that alone. If you just do that, bump all the sexy stuff you hear about owning multiple rentals and doing this and doing that. Bump all of that. Just the simple owning the place where you lay your head. The equity in the average American home is $100,000. So that alone will help to bridge that wealth gap, because the statistics show, and we've all heard the articles, that by 2053, the average black household net worth will be $0. Well, if you want to stop that now, own where you lay your head, or work towards owning the place where you lay your head and your family lays their head at night. Just that alone will help to change the narrative. And I'm going to keep preaching this. I've been very passionate about this. So we're studying redlining and studying all the discriminatory practices that were done to our grandparents, right? That literally has manifested itself to today, where that you see the divide. And when you do the math, it's super ironic that the divide is almost to the number the average equity in a single family home. Coincidence? I think not. So yeah, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this, man. Appreciate everybody being on. Share this with your people. Share this to somebody. Instagram, YouTube, share this with somebody. I appreciate y'all being on. Let me check in with YouTube. I haven't been checking in with y'all. Let me see what y'all got going on. We got 30 people here on YouTube. Appreciate y'all, man. Let's go through some of these questions, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. Mrs. P, on average, how much should you put down for a home? I hear 20%. I mean, ideally, the more you put down, the more equity you're putting into your home. Me and Shire bought a single family home in December after we sold our condo, and we put 20% down, which is a lot of money, but money's mine. Like, it's equity. And I explained earlier in this video, how you can tap into the equity via home equity line of credit and different things like that. So if you put 20% down, you're not giving somebody else 20%, you're giving yourself 20%. So just if you know that, that'll help you determine. Now you can get, if you don't have it, Zay, no, we have two. We have two in our single family. But we're getting ready to get a third though, man. We're getting ready to get a third, either fourth quarter this year, early next year. I want to do it now, but Shire, she's telling me that, hold my horses a little bit. But yeah, man. Now, like I said, if you don't have the money, if 20% is too much, there are programs you can pay much less. So I say get in. You know what I'm saying? Get in on it. You could pay 3% with FHA. If you are a ex-military, you could get in for no money down, right? So just know what you're getting into, know what your payments are going to look like, and do it that way, man. But this whole, if you ain't got the cash to cash out a home, don't own a home thing, I can't agree with that, man. I can't agree with that. Because things change. You could be at a certain income now where you can only pay 3% down, right? But your income could change the next year to where you're making more money, and now you could pay off that mortgage faster. So like things change. I saw that firsthand with me and Shire. Like we got in with 3% down, and we got in on what some people would say, you shouldn't do that. But we paid off our mortgage in 9 years. We didn't pay it off in 30 years. You don't have to pay it off in 30 years because you get a 30-year loan. So yeah. So anyway, so let's see what else. What is a duplex? What is a duplex you bought, or did you buy two homes? You bought two homes in 1 year, two separate single family homes. You feel me, though, Zay? Like, man, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's a lot more complex than that. Are you essentially saying that if you bought a home, the wealth gap would close? That would go a long way towards closing the wealth gap. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. That's essentially what I'm saying. I've said the statistics, so you got to go back and replay it. Louder for the folks in the back. Exactly, man. Just because you get a 30-year loan does not mean you have to pay it off in 30 years. Get you a 30-year loan, get your monthly payments to where they're manageable, and then when your income increases, increase your payments. It's about discipline. See, y'all, you didn't start something today. All these budgets and all these rules and all these regulations do this. Get a 15-year loan. Get on this budget and this and that. Those are like diets. Like you're putting yourself on a diet instead of just being disciplined. Be smart and be disciplined. You can't 15-year loan instead of being disciplined. You can't budget instead of being disciplined, right? Because that you're dealing with this, you're addressing the symptoms and not addressing the disease. The disease is your mindset. The disease is your inability to be disciplined. So we try to put these things in place. Don't get a house unless you get a 15-year loan. Stick to a budget, write up a budget. No, you need to change your taste. You need to change your spending habits. And you can do those things without being on a budget. You can, like I said, you can pay more towards your mortgage without forcing yourself to be in a 15-year loan, because you lock yourself in a 15-year loan, or you wait until you're in a position to get a 15-year loan and you're missing precious time that could be spent going towards your mortgage, right? So, man, this is a good conversation, y'all. So let's see, if you can't keep any money, it doesn't mean much. Exactly. If you can't keep your money, it doesn't mean much. Appreciate that, Samuel. Or you can own a tiny house. Thank you. Yes. Shout out to Tiny House Lifestyle. Or you can own a tiny house. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to do it. Ownership in all facets, sizes, don't matter. Yeah, that's real talk. Marique, I hope this is Marique on the phone, on the line. Yes, facts. Why 15 over 30? People say 15 because it's like, I mean, you're going to be paying your mortgage off in 15 years. Naturally, that sounds better. You're going to be paying less interest. So I get it. But if you can't afford 15, should you not do anything? Right? I mean, we heard the statistics. Owning a home will put you in will bridge that wealth gap that we see between Black families and white families, because you're going to get equity, you're going to get tax advantages, you're going to pay your mortgage down, which is going to help build that equity. There's so many benefits to owning your home that to say, if I can't get a 15-year loan, I'm not going to get a home, I think it's a bit irresponsible. That's just my opinion, because you can pay more on that 30-year loan. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's see. Keisha says, first time catching this chat. Thank you. Okay. Appreciate that, Lakeisha. Lakeisha says, can you purchase a home with 3 to 10%, then go back and make up to 10 to 17% and have PMI removed? That's a great question. I'm sure you could do via refinance. So like you can start with an FHA loan, which is going to have that PMI in there, or even sometimes conventional loans with a lower down payment have some type of PMI. And then eventually, Lakeisha, when you pay more, when you cross a threshold on what you've paid in principal, the PMI disappears anyway. So I definitely think you can do that, or you can refi it into a conventional and kind of do it that way. There you go. Vincent says, I am a fan of getting a 30-year loan and then paying it down in 8. That's essentially what me and Shire did. We had a 30-year loan where our payments were like $600 a month. You gonna say no to $600 a month payment? You know what? No. So we didn't. And at the time, like that's all we could do. And so, but what we did was we didn't just do that. We eventually started paying more. We eventually started paying like $3,000 a month, and we got that thing knocked down to where we are now. So absolutely. Zay hopped on YouTube. What's up with you? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Zay, I got you, man. I got a link with you, man. I got to get you on. I ain't forgot about you. Man. I need to pick your brain and have you on the podcast again. Probably I'm gonna get with you. After this. Okay. Let's see what else. Home ownership is absolutely important, but it's where the homes are. Very true. Very true. The jobs and proximities, homes, and so much. It's a lot to it, but some home is better than no home. We could agree to that. But you're right. Location is very important, because that's essentially what redlining was. They put us in an area that was less desirable. And so you didn't get the equity. You didn't get the, grandma had a home, but grandma had a home in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't grow like, her counterpart that had a home across the railroads, right? So that was done strategically. But get this, hear this. 30 years later, they went to grandma's home and they bought up the hood and they cleaned up the hood. And now the hood, you see what I'm saying? Now the hood's gentrified. So it was all a plan. This was a master plan. You got to give it up for the plan. It was masterful. So now that we know what the plan is, we got to say, okay, I got to get in this some kind of way, because they ain't fitting it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta figure out how I move in this system. Shout out to Wall Street Trapper. He talks about that a lot when it comes to the stock market. Okay, we know that there's a game. How do I play the game? Where do I get in so I don't get played? Like that's essentially our plight, right? We know the system is set up against us, but how can I not get played? You know what I'm saying? Where do I find my place in this, so that myself and my family I can stop that curse? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm super passionate about this real estate thing, because it was centuries of planning that went into this to get us to where we are now. And the only way we're going to get out of it is help get ourselves out of it. Zay says, I got a question for you though. What do you think of the city exodus Man, you know what, Zay? That's a great question, man. That's a great question. I think people are just trying to do what they have to do. You know what I'm saying? Um, so let's take Brooklyn, New York for instance. I saw an article on Brooklyn, New York, how it's becoming gentrified, and even a black person that bought a home in Brownstone in Brooklyn for $100,000, and now it's worth $1 million. Whoa, that's dope. And they stay there. They don't sell it. They didn't sell it like many did. You know, uh, of us, many of our grandparents bought a house in the hood, right, in the 50s, and 30 years later, they came and said, "Hey, we'll buy that from you." Would you ever thought about selling? You ever thought and purchased it? But let's say grandma said, "No, I'm staying here. No, I ain't selling my house," and they were there to reap the benefits of the gentrification. That's awesome. But one thing I learned, Zay, is that um, the property taxes are going up. So yeah, grandma paid off the $100,000 brownstone in Brooklyn. Now it's worth $1 million, but now the property taxes are so high that it's higher than what her mortgage was. So you see a lot of people saying, "Well, now I just gotta move. I didn't sell, right? I didn't sell when they came to gentrify. I stayed, but now the property taxes are so high. Like my kids got to come back and we got to live together, or I got to sell it." So I think that's part of why you're seeing a lot of exits. People just trying to get somewhere. That's why Georgia is so sexy to a lot of us, and Texas, because it's like we just trying to get somewhere where it's a little better of a situation. And so I think that's what we're seeing. I hope I answered that question. Um, but yeah, let me see what else here. Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all got some great questions, man. Lakeisha, if you take your tax return and make a mortgage payment that exceeds your monthly payment, you can do that once every year and it will help bring your principal down. Yes, me and Shire, we have a video that we did on YouTube. Y'all check it out, where we talk about the different ways to cut years off your mortgage. And that was one of the strategies. Making one extra mortgage payment per year, you'll knock it's something crazy. Like I have to look at the numbers again, but it's something crazy like 5-6 years off your mortgage. It might even be more than that. Just one extra payment per year. So every little bit definitely counts. Yes, we have 2 rentals in Georgia. That's dope. Oh, congratulations on that. Yeah, that's we love that. Love that. Georgia, man. I've always wanted to get a rental in Georgia. We looked at Macon and we looked at Warner Robins. Warner Robins, oh man, Warner Robins has exploded in Georgia, and we were there. We were actually looking at that when nobody else really was, and we didn't pull the trigger. But anyway, yeah, would letting it out help to solve that? So what's the catch? I'm gonna have to. I don't really understand that question, but this question says, so what's the catch to the period that taxes going up? I'm not sure about that one, Vincent. I'm not too sure about that one, brother. But I know it's always something with the taxes, though. Oh, okay. So, what's the catch to the period that? Okay, so what happens when they assess the neighborhood again? Because they assess it yearly by every few years they'll assess the area, and your property taxes may increase, right? If you lived in a very impoverished area, and then now they didn't put Starbucks there, they didn't put Whole Foods, you know what I'm saying? They didn't put Trader Joe's, and it's a now bustling area. You're going to see your property taxes go up. Somebody got to pay for that stuff. So even when African Americans have gone through the gentrification and stayed the course and stayed locked into those homes that are now worth more, oftentimes they can't keep paying those taxes. They got to bring their kids back in. Come on, come live with mama. Come on, we got to, live a community to be able to afford this thing now. And then another thing I saw in the article was they make it harder for them to tap into that equity. Now that's scary. To me, that's the scary part, when, okay, so I bought this brownstone for $100,000 in the 80s. It's worth $1 million now, but the property taxes are so high. Dang, I can't even really pay it. Let me get into this equity and let me, you know what I'm saying? Let me do some things with it. And they're making that harder for individuals now. So that's, to me, that's the alarming part. Zay says, I think it's 7 off a 30-year. There we go. So for those of you, we were talking about making that one extra payment. It could knock 7 years off a 30-year mortgage, one extra payment a year. So that's something to think about. That right there. So you go in for the 30-year loan, you make one extra payment a year, and there's a few ways to do that. You could pay bi-weekly, and at the end of the year, you would have made one extra payment. So take your monthly mortgage payment, and in 2 weeks, you pay half of it. In the next 2 weeks, you pay the second half, and you carry that throughout the year. You would have, by the end of the year, paid one extra payment. Just by adjusting when you make your payments, you could knock 7 years off your mortgage. So there's tricks to it. There's tricks to it. Yeah, for sure, Zay. Yeah, absolutely, man. A lot of people don't know. Yeah. So if the average tax return is $5K plus, and the monthly mortgage is $1,500, and if you have a two-person income, that's $10K off your mortgage a year on a $30,000 mortgage. That's 28 off your. Oh, okay, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So it's definitely something. No property tax on tiny house. Yeah, no property tax on a tiny house. Hey, but you know what, Marie? I was curious, man. How are those? Because uh, I've been looking into trailer home, flipping trailer homes and different things like that. What's your thoughts on the lot rent though? Because doesn't that hit? I was surprised at how much that lot rent hits, man. What's your take on that? But really, if that's all you're paying, it's really not that much. Um, okay, let's see what else. Please let them know that they have to make sure that they tell the bank that the money goes directly to the principal. Yes. Thank you, Vincent. When you're doing the extra payment to your mortgage, you have to make sure. I do mine online. Make sure it's going to the principal. Make sure it's going to the principal. You have to tell them specifically, because if not, they're going to apply it to the principal and interest. Right? So you don't want them doing it to the principal and interest. You want it going straight to the principal. Don't put this extra payment on the interest. I want this straight towards the principal because it's extra. So yeah, that's key. That's key. Let's see what else. Thanks for the gems. Man, appreciate y'all being on, man. It's a great conversation. Yes, Lakeisha, make sure it goes towards the principal specifically. So yeah, man, I appreciate you guys being on. Man, we've been on for an hour. Y'all here with me, man. I appreciate it. I thought y'all forgot about me. Appreciate you guys being on. This has been a great conversation about the power of home ownership. Just your primary residence. We're not talking about nothing crazy. Just own where you sleep, or work towards owning where you sleep. So yeah, y'all, we need to get this narrative out to our community specifically. What's up, C folks? Long time, brother. Yeah, we need to get this narrative out to our community specifically, because I feel like there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of stuff that's telling you that home ownership is like not a necessity. It's like it's not a thing anymore, right? And we need to change that narrative, because the statistics show. I'm gonna say the statistics one more time before I get out of here. This is per a Duke University study, okay, in 2014, in an article with the Wall Street Journal. The average white median wealth is $144,000. The average black family's median wealth is $11,000, while the average single family home equity is $100,000. So essentially, that gap between the white wealth and the black wealth is the equity in a home that they own. Period. Nothing else needs to be said. We're not saying that that's the only way to gain wealth as a family, but it is a great way, and it is an important way. It's so important. It's such an important way to build wealth that they strategically redlined and put in discriminatory practices so that they did this 50 years ago so that me and you could be having this conversation today. Period, point blank. If it wasn't important, they wouldn't have redlined and they wouldn't have made this master plan. So that just shows you right there. So appreciate everybody. Let me see. Oh, Marie hit me back. Yeah, man, money and finance is the best conversations. Usually lot rent is around 400. Okay, depending on the area. Purchase your home and land can help you circumvent that. Got you. But it also means a loss of flexibility in traveling. Very true. Very true. Yep, that's so it depends what you want. So for those of you thinking about getting in the tiny house game, first of all, y'all need to be following Tiny House Lifestyle. Their YouTube blew up. You know what I'm saying? They just exploded on YouTube. You know, I knew Marique was going to do it. I mean, he already explained how, you know, he's a mad scientist on YouTube. So their YouTube has exploded and they're just dope. So follow them if you want to know all things tiny house. So yeah, appreciate you guys hopping on, man. Love you guys. Love these conversations. We need to have these conversations more. I appreciate everybody. Man, Lakeisha dropped me $5, y'all, on YouTube. Lakeisha, thank you very much, man. You did not have to do that. I appreciate it. God bless you. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all being locked in with me. Y'all subscribe. It's time for some, you know, before I let you go, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. If you're not following us on Instagram, you need to be following us on Instagram. We dropping gems on the daily. Me and Shira, Black Married Debt Free. Shira's working, so I'm just chopping it up with you guys. So yeah, follow us on all platforms. We appreciate you. Everything you guys are doing. By following us, we are one big family. I appreciate all the other people, influencers that are, you know, spitting this game and increasing the financial literacy. Man, appreciate y'all. I love everything I'm seeing from Zay, First Generation Wealth Building. Y'all follow him, Marie and Codenesa, Tiny House, like all the people who are spitting the game, Money Monopolizers, Wall Street Trap. I mean, it's just so many people to name, but y'all, I see y'all every day on my feed, and it just encourages me. And I appreciate everything that all the content creators are doing. And I appreciate you for checking us out. So this is Marcus for Black Married Debt Free. Check out the link in our bio if you're on Instagram. We got everything you need there. Everything you need. Masterclass, YouTube channel, Facebook group, all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys. And let's regurgitate this narrative. What we talked about today, tell somebody today. Tell somebody that looks like you what we talked about today on this live and how important home ownership really is. All right. Love y'all. Holla at y'all later. Peace.